Let's take a look at some examples of how to add fractions in decimal numbers. Let's start with 2/3 and 1/4. First, remember, just like in your foldable, you got to get a common denominator. The LCM, the least common multiple of 3 and 4, is 12. To get 12, I need to multiply 3 times 4, and whatever I do to my denominator, I also do to my numerator. Keep in mind, in multiplying by 4/4, 4/4 is a whole. I'm going to get an equivalent fraction. 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 4 is 12. 8/12 will reduce to 2/3, so these fractions are equivalent because I multiplied it by 1 whole. I'm going to multiply 1/4 times 3/3 and get 3/12, which reduces to a fourth. 8 plus 3 is 11 twelfths. And keep in mind your fraction stories as you do this. 8 out of 12 could be, I have 8 pieces of candy out of a bag of 12. My best friend has 3 left over out of a bag of 12, and she gave me her pieces. So now I have 11. Okay, let's take a look at our two mixed numbers. -3 1/3 plus 2 2/5. I have a 3 and a 5 as my denominator, and the least common multiple is 15. To change 3 into 15, I have to multiply by 5. Whatever I do to my denominator, I do to my numerator. My new fraction is -3 and 5/15. I'm going to multiply my 5 times 3 and my 2 times 3. And my new fraction is 2 and 6/15. Now, there's 3 different ways you could solve this one. You could go straight across and just go ahead and add them together. I'm going to show you all 3 ways, and I want you at the end of this to choose which one you like the best. Okay? -3 plus 2 is -1. -5 plus 6 is +1/15. I have a negative whole number and a positive fraction, so I'm not finished. I need to put these together. So I'm going to take that -1 and I'm going to turn it into -15/15. I'm going to write it as a fraction. 15/15. -15/15 is 1 whole. So I'm going to add 1/15 to it and end up with -14/15 as my answer. Now this is the first way that you can solve adding a positive and negative mixed number. Now a second way that I want to show you. Okay, the second way is to, since I know that my whole number and my fraction are going to, one of them is going to be positive, one's going to be negative. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and borrow here from this 3. I'm going to make that 3 into a 2. And when I do that, I just took 1 whole or 15/15 away from it, and from the 3. So since I took 15/15 right here, I made it into a 2, I'm going to add that 15/15 to the 5/15 that I have. That's going to make this 20/15. So I took 1 away from the 3, and I added 1 whole or 15/15 to 5/15 and came up with 20/15 plus 2 and 6/15. So now I'm going to add my whole numbers. -2 plus 2 is 0, and -20 plus 6 is -14 out of 15. This is the second way you can handle this. Last, you can change these mixed numbers to improper fractions. 15 times 3 is 45 plus 5 is 50. $15 times 2 is 30 plus 6 is 36. -50 plus 36 is -14. Okay, and I get -14/50. So I got the same answer all 3 ways, but I came about getting my answer in a different method. This way, changing mixed to improper is a good method. All three of them you're welcome to use, but take one of them and choose it and adopt it as your own. All right, let's take a look at adding decimal numbers. When you add decimal numbers, the first thing you want to do is look at your signs. I have two negatives, and I know my answer is just going to come out to be a negative. All I need to do is add them together. Okay. Now, when I add them together, though, I need to line up my decimals, and I need to make sure that the place value is lined up. So 62.4. Notice that the tenths place is lined up and the ones place is lined up, and my decimals are lined up. And I'm just simply going to add the two negatives that I have here. 5 plus nothing is 5. 4 plus 3 is 7. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 6 plus nothing is 6. And I get a negative 64 and 75 hundredths. Let's take a look at the next one. I have negative 37 and 5 tenths plus 123 and 25 hundredths. Now, when I add these together, I'm looking and I see that I have a positive and I have a negative. So when you add a positive and a negative, ask which one has more. There's more positive, and subtract. So I'm going to take the smaller number from the larger number. Okay. Now, since 37 and 5 tenths is negative, I'm just simply subtracting it from my large number here. And when I do that, I have to line up my decimal places and my place value spots. Tenths and the tenths should be lined up. Ones and the tens place should be lined up. Okay. 5 minus nothing is 5. Okay. 20, this is like 20 cents. This is the tenths place. So 20 minus 50, can't do it. I'm going to take $1 away from the ones place and make this into 2 and bring 100 pennies over here. Now I have 120 cents minus 50 cents and it gives me 70 cents. Or 12 minus 5 is 7. Now I have $2 minus $7. Can't do it. So I need to borrow from my tens. I took a $10 bill away from this 20. I have 1 10 left, and I brought 10 over into my ones place. Now I have 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. And 10 minus 30, I can't do, so I need to borrow from the hundreds place. So I took the 1 away. There's nothing left here, and I'm going to bring 100 here. Now I have 110 minus 30, which leaves me 80, or 11 minus 3, which is 8. And my answer is 85 and 75 hundredths. All right, go ahead and pause your video here and try these three out. If you need to, go rewind in your video to look at an earlier example, or go to your foldable that has the rules in it and some examples in it too that you can use to help. All right, first we're going to get a like denominator. So the least common multiple of 7 and 3 is 21. Multiply 7 times 3 and 3 times 7. Whatever I do to my denominator, I do to my numerator. That leaves me with negative 9 21st plus 14 21st. When you add a positive and a negative, ask which one has more. There's more positivity, and subtract. I'm going to take 9 from the 14. That leaves me 5. 5 21st is my answer here. Let's move to the next one. 2 and 5 6 plus a negative 1 and 3 ninths. Now, I'm looking at them, and I know that 2 minus 1 is positive 1. I got to get a like denominator before I can even look to compare to see if my fraction is going to be bigger, a bigger negative or a bigger positive. So 6 and 9, I know the least common multiple of those two numbers is 18. 6 times 3, I have to do the same to my numerator. 9 times 2, I do the same to my numerator. I end up with 2 and 15 18ths plus negative 1 and 6 18ths. 2 plus negative 1 is 1, and 5 plus 15 plus a negative 6 is 9. 1 1/2 is what this reduces to. Let's move to the last one. We are adding decimal numbers. One's a positive, one's a negative. I'm going to ask myself, which one has more, positivity or negativity? Since there's more positivity, I'm going to line up my place value spots and my decimal. Four minus nothing is 4. And keep in mind that this is a negative. So I asked which one has more. There's more positivity, and I'm subtracting the negative number from the positive number. Now I have 30 minus 50. I can't do it. 130 minus 50 is 80, or 13 minus 5 is 8. 1 minus 6 I can't do, so I'm borrowing from my 10s. I bring 10 over here, now I have 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. And 20 minus 20 is 0. So I have 584 as my answer.